She never imagined her heart could betray her like this. For years, Sophie had walked in and out of her best friend's house as if it was her second home, laughing, sharing secrets, never once thinking that someone under that same roof would change her life forever. Her best friend's brother, Jake, was supposed to be untouchable. The rules were clear. He was older, protective, and most importantly, completely off limits. Everyone knew it. Sophie knew it. And yet every stolen glance across the room, every accidental touch when their hands brushed, every lingering smile whispered a dangerous truth. She was falling for him. It started slowly, like a fire smoldering in the dark. At first, she ignored it, telling herself it was harmless. But Jake wasn't just another boy. He was charming, confident, and he looked at her like she was more than just his sister's friend. When his eyes locked with hers, Sophie felt seen in a way she never had before. And that scared her. Because what do you do when the one person you want the most is the one person you're not allowed to have? The tension grew stronger with every meeting. Sophie would visit her best friend, pretending everything was normal. But the moment Jake entered the room, her heartbeat betrayed her. He would lean against the wall, smirk at her in that knowing way, and she would feel her resolve crumble. She hated herself for it, for wanting him, for imagining what it would be like if he wasn't her best friend's brother. But the forbidden nature of it only made it more intoxicating. It wasn't just attraction, it was temptation. Jake wasn't blind to it either. He noticed the way she avoided his gaze, the way her smile faltered whenever he got too close. And instead of keeping his distance, he leaned in. He teased her gently, tested her limits, watched her blush and look away. Every interaction became a game. But beneath the playfulness, there was a seriousness he couldn't hide. He wanted her, just as much as she wanted him. Sophie lay awake at night, replaying every word, every look, every touch. She told herself it was wrong, that it would destroy her friendship if anyone ever found out. But her heart refused to listen. Because love doesn't always follow the rules. Sometimes it chooses the one path you swore you'd never walk. And that path, for Sophie, led straight to Jake. The forbidden love she tried so hard to bury was slowly becoming impossible to ignore. It was supposed to mean nothing. Just one night, one reckless decision born from too much laughter, too many stolen glances, and a lifetime of holding back. Sophie told herself it was a mistake the moment it happened. The kind of mistake you bury deep in your memory and never ever speak about. But as the sun rose and she woke in Jake's arms, everything inside her shifted. It didn't feel like nothing. It felt like everything. The air between them had always been charged, but that night it exploded. A birthday party, too many drinks, the sound of music fading into the background as their eyes found each other across the crowded room. One moment they were laughing, the next they were alone, hearts racing, walls breaking. They knew it was wrong. They knew there would be consequences. But the pull was too strong. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the rules, not the risks, not the friendship that could be shattered. All that mattered was the way he touched her like she was his entire world, and the way she kissed him like she had been waiting her whole life for this. But when morning came, so did reality. Sophie tried to convince herself it was just physical, a slip in judgment, something she could walk away from. Jake, on the other hand, didn't see it that way. To him, that night was proof of what he had always known, that what they shared was real, undeniable, and worth fighting for. She wanted to run, to protect her friendship, her reputation, her heart. He wanted to stay, to hold on, to claim what he believed was already his. And that was the problem. Because one night was never just one night. It changed the way they looked at each other, the way they breathed in the same room, the way they spoke in half sentences because the full truth was too dangerous to admit. Every time Sophie tried to push him away, he pulled her back with a simple glance, a simple touch, reminding her of the night she couldn't forget. The consequences weren't just emotional, they were personal. Every secret text, every excuse to see him, every sleepless night added weight to the lie she was living. And deep down, Sophie knew the truth. If her best friend ever found out, the world she had built would collapse. That one night had set fire to everything she thought she could control. And the flames were only getting higher. Secrets have a way of growing heavier the longer you carry them. And Sophie could feel the weight of hers pressing down on her every single day. What started as one night of passion had turned into stolen moments, hidden conversations, and a love that lived only in the shadows. With every glance exchanged when no one was watching, with every excuse made to stay just a little longer, the risk grew greater. Sophie wasn't just hiding a romance. She was hiding betrayal. Because if her best friend ever found out, the fallout would be devastating. Every time Sophie walked through her best friend's front door, her heart raced. She would smile, laugh, act like everything was normal, but the truth burned beneath the surface. Jake would appear in the room and their eyes would lock for just a second too long. Nobody else noticed, but Sophie knew. She knew the secret was fragile, like glass, and one wrong move could shatter everything. The danger made it harder to resist. The thrill of whispered conversations at midnight. The way his hand would brush hers when no one was looking. The tension of almost getting caught. It was intoxicating. But the fear never left her. She replayed the possible outcomes over and over again in her head. If her best friend found out, would she lose her forever? Would she see the betrayal in her eyes and turn away? Sophie wasn't sure which would hurt more, losing the boy she loved, or losing the friend who had always been like family. Jake wasn't afraid the way she was. He told her they could face it together, that love was worth the risk. But he didn't understand the bond between her and her best friend. The years of trust that could be destroyed in a single revelation. To him, the risk was just a challenge. To Sophie, it was a ticking time bomb. Every kiss felt like fire. Every embrace felt like heaven. But the fear of exposure haunted her like a shadow. She lived between two worlds, the safety of her friendship and the danger of her secret love. And every day, the line between them blurred. She knew the secret couldn't last forever. The truth has a way of finding its way to the surface. And when it does, Sophie would be forced to choose. Protect the friendship that had defined her life, or fight for the forbidden love that had stolen her heart. Either way, someone would get hurt, and that was the risk she could no longer escape.